Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Om Namah
Talk about the obvious, which is gang stalking. Okay, we all know that it does exist. It's been confirmed over and over again in my life, rather, gang stalking and the tactics that they use. I'm going to be showing you guys several videos talk to you guys about how to overcome this. And I think that speaking out is really one of the most important things. If you go on YouTube, you'll see thousands of videos of people that are targeted individuals. There's a lot of stuff that they do. Okay. And the sad part about it is that typically your boyfriend is in on it. Typically, you know, I'll show you guys several videos about this, but I want to first show a video about how much it is that they earn. Okay. There are people that actually earn money from harassing certain types of people. And it's usually people that are free thinkers. It's usually people who are very positive, creative. We see it all the time with Hollywood and stuff like that, the way that they sort of do everybody in Hollywood. Okay, so I want to come and talk about this tonight because the shit's real. And most of the time, there's an article that I was going to read to you guys about this. But what their main goal is to get you to behave a certain way, especially when they start going under their attacks. And a lot of them are actually using demonic rituals to do that. So that's why I said that it's sanctioned by Christian hypocrites, because a lot of times your Christian parents are actually Satanists and you just don't know it. A lot of people, when they find out that their parents are not really their parents, it causes them a lot of psychological pain, because when you grow up living within the lie, okay, and you know when your parent is in on that, because a lot of them will sell you into it. And I think some people are actually, I think the government or the CIA actually wants certain people to be targeted. But there's a lot of people that have their own private groups because they want to control or dominate certain people. Only thing I can say is that you need to try to find someone or find people that are not at all connected. And what you're going to find out is that they have actually brought people into your life. And I was talking about that, about how a lot of times, you know, your husband, he's in on it. Okay. I hate to tell you that. You know what I'm talking about, though. You know what I'm talking about. In fact, in that movie, The Orphan, okay, her husband was obviously in on something because he had absolutely no faith in his wife. Everything that she said was discredited. And it's one of those kind of things. It's almost like, now most people that are a targeted individual, they're very sensitive to these energies, and they're not so lucky, because a lot of people end up with a very, very horrifying criminal record. It just depends on what they're trying to do to you. So I don't think that people typically live under gang stalking all the time. But when the gang stalker has a specific goal that they want to use you for, okay, this is when you start to experience the demonic attacks. And they are demonic. This is demonic. This is a spiritual thing. Okay, this is it. I'm going to be honest with you, because there's no need for it except for people that are trying to do sacrifices, people that are to be honest with you, I think that it's a bunch of adults without any intelligence. I'm just being honest with you, that do that to you. And a lot of people are dealing with it. So I know my gang stalkers would like me to believe that I'm the only one and it's low. But it's not true. It's a lot of people that end up being gang stalked in this way. And it's extremely disgusting. Now, gang stalking does not have to happen to you all the time. It seems like they choose specific times of the month or specific times of the year. I believe that is when the demon is collecting your energy. So it's been proven that if you don't give them any reaction, and it's so sad, but that's the only way to get out of it, is or to not let them benefit from your energy, because they'll flail around and they'll just be begging for your attention. It's very covert. And to be honest with you, they have actually caused a lot of people to harm themselves and to sometimes harm others. It can be devastating, you know, especially when you find out that your family and friends are in on it. And it's in my opinion, the reason why your family and friends are in on it is because they're under demonic influence. So a lot of people haven't really looked at the spiritual reason for this kind of stalking and harassment. Okay, so in order for you to get an idea of what gang stalking is, I am going to play several videos for you guys so that you can understand it. And I'll come back and give my own commentary on what I feel has worked for me. Okay, now the first thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to do any dirty magic to anybody, because this is going to create negative karma for you. And you know, they really want you to get you to do something. And sometimes they have a specific goal in mind. For my gang stalkers, they were trying to use a man in social media to harm my son, because these particular gang stalkers, they hate my son because he's mixed. So and you know, they don't think straight. So for some reason, they were running this covert operation to where they actually thought, or they were trying to get, and they even tried to make it look cool. Like, oh my God, this is so cool to harm your children because of the love of a man. And oh my goodness. So they were literally running this covert operations. They're still doing it. They're contacting the police all the time. I'm contacting the police all the time. And I will tell you guys how to protect yourself, because there have been people, I know that for me, they actually years ago, they ended up getting me locked up in jail for one night. And it was very soft. It wasn't, because some targeted individual in jail, they end up in jail for years and years and years, and they have no idea what happened to them. They can be perfectly normal, and then, you know, all of a sudden with electronic attacks and satanic witchcraft. There's a difference between witchcraft and satanic witchcraft. Okay, so satanic witchcraft is a lot different than practicing the craft, you know, working on energy, you know, doing things that will help you, you know, balancing out yourself or whatever. And really, a lot of people don't know how to stay calm in those situations. A lot of times, what will end up happening. Now, what you guys have noticed about my gang stalkers is that they love when they upset me, okay, because they feel as though they're going to be able to use that as evidence against me. And it's kind of like, you know, I've got some pretty weak, unintelligent gang stalkers, and they're definitely using a lot of the tactics, but they're very messy. None of them have any credibility, and they're just ignorant. Okay. Most of the people, the law enforcement that has gotten involved, as well as the other agency that they're trying to use against me, they all know this. It is because I know how to talk to people, and it is because I know how to express myself. I know how to explain things. So unfortunately, you do have to explain it over and over again. I've got stalkers. You have to explain it to people. Now, the one thing I want you to know is that the way you test people in your life is you let them know. Now, some of them are very intelligent. Some of them, you know, they know how to manipulate you. Okay. The people that are sent to you, see, they send people to you, and it's to collect information. So I'm going to be going over a lot about gang stalking with you guys, and also how to protect yourself spiritually, because a lot of people don't know how to do that. And especially men have it the worst. And I believe the reason why men have it the worst is because men, they're always trying to look at things logically. Okay. And when they're done looking at things logically, they can find themselves at a disadvantage, because if you're just going off of logic and no spirituality, then you want to be careful with that, seriously, because you do have to go to God for help. There's a lot of us that have been signed up for this program. I believe that either your parents sign you up for it, because there's a lot of secret societies out there. There's Freemasonry, there's Satanic witch cults, and there's also the Eastern Star. And they do try or attempt to sacrifice certain members of their family. Spiritually, there are people that are protected from that, okay? Because sometimes targeted individuals will either adopt, people that are into that, they will adopt children. And to me, it's a souped up bullying, because they need somebody to hurt. Okay, now that's why I said it's for different reasons. Some of you have been signed up for this program because you literally are surrounded by jerks, okay? And they have singled you out, and you notice that this start with your family, especially if you're the black sheep and you're different from everybody and you feel out of place. And, they will make you feel accepted. But as soon as you try to, go outside of their gang stalking program, they feel like you're not entitled to a life. They will send people after you. This is why if you ever leave town and go somewhere, you want to make sure that you fully screen the people that you are making connections with, because they could be connected. Okay. Not to mention the fact that they monitor your phone, they monitor your house, they're constantly watching you. If you notice, every time you leave the house, somebody's telling you, and they're telling you. And as soon as you look at them, that they're there, and this is the one thing I want to tell you. You cannot get paranoid. Just laugh at them. They haven't caused you to commit any crimes. That's what they want you to do. There's a lot of targeted individuals that are in prison right now, and they don't even know they're a targeted individual. People like that are under mind control. Okay. They do control your mind. This is where you are totally out of control. There are some of us that don't have that problem. We can feel that energy come in. We can pick it up. There's all sorts of meditations that you can do to free your brain from the entrainment. There's the Zakos draconian cleanses that you can do. And you just have to speak out about it, especially when they are under attack. That's why they are so covert. This is why they can't let go. A lot of people are like, well, why can't they let go? Why can't they let go? And here's the thing. If it's sanctioned by a satanic church, then you'll probably always be targeted, unfortunately. Now, I believe that there are several spells do work on them. Okay, protection spells, uncrossing spells, and because otherwise they would just bother you every single day. They would constantly bother you every single day. You would have no protection. So there's a lot of different things you can do. I have actually avoided doing those things, because what can end up happening is that the people that are targeting you, they can definitely get hurt, and they don't understand why. They have a lack of empathy. They are very demonic. They don't understand why you won't accept them stalking and harassing you. Okay. They don't understand, and they don't even care, because a lot of them are getting paid for it. A lot of you that are YouTubers, there's people that are getting paid to stalk and harass you. Okay. And some of them have a specific goal in mind. Some of them want to just possibly simply get you to, show your body online. Some of them just have sexual deviances that they want you to fulfill, but some of them want you dead. And they will tell you that they'd like for you to die. And it's kind of like, not going to do that anytime soon, am I? So I'm gonna show you guys a couple of videos for this. Feel free to get at me in the chat. You will be blocked in the chat if you come in here trying to gang stalk me while I'm talking about gang stalking. Come on now, have some freaking coof, have some pride. These people have no pride. These are people that were not able to possibly earn money in any other way, so they use this. So I want to start with this video about how especially if you're on YouTube, a lot of you big YouTubers, people are getting paid to harass you on your channel. So I'm going to go ahead and play a couple of videos of fair use, because there's a lot of videos about this. A lot of people do not know they're being gang stalked. They think that everybody surrounding them loves them. They're totally delusional. They have no idea what they are really dealing with, and they're in a lot of denial. Now, they do recruit their TIs. Some of their targeted individuals will be recruited. It's almost like, if I can't beat them, I'm going to join them. But I err against that. I caution against that. And the reason why is because it's going to create bad luck in your life. That's why you need that spirituality. That's why you need it. Otherwise, you're just going to be going in a circle.
Gang stalk I actually make. I stumbled into this sort of question when I had people following me, and I was experiencing all sorts of strange events for an extended period of time, and they just were not going away. And I started asking myself if these people are really being paid, or if they're just doing this as a hobby, and definitely not. So it looks like it's a career option for them. It looks like they're actually getting paid. So there are no official numbers. I mean, it's going to be difficult when you're dealing with anything which is a bit shady and a bit criminal or underground. And the fact that, every network might be running a different kind of scheme. So there are different levels of involvement in gang stalking or organized stalking. What I'm interested in is the full-time pimps that are doing the full range of attacks, from spreading rumors to lying to sort of the guys who are actually there 24 hours a day, sort of doing the work. Then occasionally there are some stalkers that you meet in real life. Every now and then you bump into a couple of people that are not your friends, but they're following you. And then, of course, gang stalking has got to drag the general public. Like, everybody has got to be involved, all your friends. Everybody is going to be lied to and has got to be sort of told a rumor or some kind of campaign to discredit you, to destroy your image. So again, nobody's going to do all of this work for nothing. A perpetrator isn't going to sit for 24 hours a day, or to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning, or whatever it is that they're doing in the morning, any time of the day. And it looks like they're actually taking shifts. I mean, it's just not physically possible to be working that hard, always seeming to have a lot of energy, and it's definitely for money. Nobody is not going to just work for nothing. Typically what they do is, this would be almost like their job description. The first thing is that they obviously go around spreading lies and rumors. And this puts your, imagine going and lying to somebody else's friend and showing them a compromising picture or video footage or anything like that. So you wouldn't, it's bad news that you're bringing. You're spreading negativity. You wouldn't do that for nothing. Going, picking up the phone, calling somebody, or going on social media, posting stuff. So that sounds like it's a job. It's a work activity. The other one is hacking into communications, typically phone calls, misdirecting them, or
when you are a targeted individual, you actually have to change your passwords to your accounts every now and then. I haven't really experienced any hacks, except for my cell phone. Okay, you can tell when your cell phone is being monitored because they know, and then a lot of the people that you talk to is reporting back to them. So it's kind of hard to trust people when you're dealing with this situation. And so I'll just keep playing the video.
Logging into email accounts, logging into bank statements, basically hacking continuously so that you can sabotage the guy's life, and then constantly spying and watching the victim all the time, every second, so that the guy doesn't get a break, the guy doesn't get a minute or a second to breathe. And I think on a more serious note, carrying out voice to style, the perpetrators are always there all the time talking, carrying out skits or I guess it takes time to prepare those skits. It takes time to compile a list of those lies that they tell you. And then, I mean, ultimately they're doing damage, and damaging different parts of the body.
Just to let you guys know that remote weaponry can be electronic devices, and then also witchcraft. There's been a lot of people that have had their bodies damaged, and I was actually talking about that last night. So some of you TIs are definitely under the program, and it's sad. It's sad. Some of them will carry out crimes against you. When you keep speaking out about it, they will eventually try to carry out a crime because they cannot stop, especially if they have some sort of covert mission against you. And we'll talk about that also.
They're doing a crime. So nobody's going to do all of this work, which is not good, which is not above the floor, which is not, you're trading your integrity for money, ultimately. So there's going to be a good price that you're going to be prepared to accept as a perpetrator. So how much is it? So I've made a couple of assumptions. I mean, again, there's no real figures. There's no sort of definitive amount.
They have a quota, and I think it's a monthly quota, because I've noticed that since they found some people that would actually carry this sick stuff out, that it has not been 1 month that has went by without them contacting me through a perp. And a perp is a perpetrator. This is somebody that they either send after you for some odd reason. They do the most oddest things, and I've actually came and told you guys about it. I don't get 6 perps per day, but I definitely do get something every month. And for some reason during my birth month has triggered them, because my perpetrators, they just want me to be unhappy. Okay.
Assume that one victim has got about 6 perps a day, and at any given shift there could be 3 shifts in a day. They work about 8 hours, and then there's always 2 perps working.
So when you act, look, let me tell y'all something. When you ask yourself who has time for this, the reason why they have time for it is because they are getting paid for it. Do I believe it's government funded? Some people, like the president, or somebody that's very, very, very important. But a lot of this is privately funded, especially with pimps and people that are trying to traffic people. They actually have learned about this program, and they're actually using this program to recruit people to traffic. And I'll talk about that disgusting shit also. But yeah, they do work in shifts. They do. And they'll use just about anybody to carry out their mission. They do not care about you. They do not care about how this is affecting your life. They only care about that dollar bill. That dollar bill, y'all.
Changing talks, mostly doing voice to style work. And then they work all the time. They work 365 days a year.
So a lot of them,
pretty much,
you'll see these YouTube channels that the person is just kind of behind the camera. You don't know who the flup it is. That is a perp, somebody that is just harassing you, and they're online and you can't see them. And you know what? Some of them are computer generated. I've actually had conversations with people that were in on the gang stalking, and it sounds like they have to absolutely stick to a script. Okay. And some of them, what I've noticed is that in order to gain your trust, because they have actually studied you, okay, they'll say certain things to you that will grab you and capture you. But then the next time you talk to them, they're on another script. Okay. They're scripted. They're absolutely scripted. Okay.
Or you don't get a day's break. They're working 24 hours a day the entire year. And so these would be like almost the bare minimum. There could be more perpetrators. There could be maybe 3 per shift, or there could be maybe 4 or more others that are doing other stuff in real life other than just doing voice to skull. So the question again is, how much do they actually make? I mean, we start off with the sort of most bare minimum, which is $1 per hour that you would want to earn which means you're going to be making 8 hours per day if you're working an 8-hour shift. And in a year, you're going to be making just about $240. And so is this going to be enough? I mean, it's just about $3,000 per year. It's, you're doing this trouble, you're going through a lot of trouble as a perpetrator, and would this amount be enough? And the answer is probably no. It's more like $5 would be the minimum. And then if you're earning $5 an hour, you're probably making a good $1,200 per month.
All right. Spirit, show me how.
Which is a bit of a step up, but it's still not enough. It's still, you're ultimately killing a human being. You're ultimately destroying somebody else's life. So for $5, it's assassination. I mean, it's like a slow assassination or a slow kill campaign.
What do these perps make?
Probably not going to do it for like $5 an hour.
Or per year, whatever.
On average, about $10 an hour.
Show me what they're
perpetrators are earning different amounts.
Show me what they're earning.
So a day it works out to about $80 an hour, and then per month it comes to about $2,400, which is almost like a working job now, which is almost like a decent, well-respected job. So I mean, just to go through the ranges again, if they're earning about $1 an hour, it's too little. If they're making about $5 an hour, that would be for like a very, very desperate person who's got nothing else and is willing to practically sell their soul to the devil for like the cheapest amount. It's still 1,200 rands per month. At a realistic minimum, we're going to stick with about $10 an hour. In practice, I mean, the perpetrators almost like, they're changing hours. I don't think they work.
Guys, as far as how much they make, what the spirits have told me about the amount that they make, spirits actually showed me that it's probably per job. And for somebody like me, it's funny how the high priestess came up. For somebody like me, I would say probably the minimum would be probably maybe $60 to $40 to maybe even $70 per attack. I think they probably go by, depends on what they do. Okay, now I'm going to assume that, the YouTube videos that they put up on people, they're making a good 60 to 40. Some of them are making $40 per video. The numbers that I got was 6, 4, and 7. So not that much. They're not really making a whole lot of money, okay, at doing that. It just depends on if it's privately funded or not. So
yeah. 8-hour shifts strictly. So maybe some of them it might be 12 hours, or some of them might be 6 hours with more shifts. And also perpetrators come and go. Maybe some of them might only try this thing out for a month or a week and then go, no, I don't feel comfortable with this sort of thing. They lose interest maybe after 6 months. But the point is that the system, as long as there's money, as long as you can pay somebody an amount that they're prepared to risk, there's never ever going to be a shortage of perpetrators to carry out their attacks. So if we take all costs into consideration, besides paying these guys, it comes down to how much does the network or whoever is paying these perpetrators, how much is he actually paying per annum, per year? How much does it actually cost him to run the entire campaign? So we got to stick with the average of about $10 an hour, which is a reasonable amount. Taking into consideration that some perps might earn more than others, maybe it might be like others earn double and others sort of earn half. So again, 6 perpetrators per day taking shifts. If you were to do the calculation, it works out to about $30,000 per annum for just only paying the perpetrators. And then obviously there's going to be more costs than that. These guys have got to make phone calls. They've got to be on the internet researching. They've got to be following, stalking the guy. If the victim is traveling, they've got to actually follow him around. And then there's also bribing other members of society. I mean, imagine trying to bribe somebody like a lawyer or a police. So you've got to pay a little bit extra. So you assume, let's stick with an average of about $1,000 per month just to carry out the bribes. So in a year, it's going to be about $12,000 for all the other extra costs. So per victim, you end up spending roughly $42,000 just to stalk one victim. Okay, so you're not just going to stalk the guy for 1 year and then it's over, it's finished. The guy walks away scot-free. Most victims actually complain and they confess that they've been stalked for over 5 years or close to 10 years. So over 5 years, the total cost would have been about $210,000, which is quite a significant amount of money. And over 10 years, it's obviously a lot more. And then, how much return on investment are you wanting to get out of this whole thing? As if you're running this, when you're obviously pouring money, you're not just pouring money down the drain. It could be anything. I would think 50% return on investment over 5 years would be a fair amount. So if you're making 50% profit, that would give you around about $100,000 that you make over 5 years as a business, which is not bad. And over 10 years, then your revenue would have to be about $315,000 in a period of 5 years. The point of this, it's all approximate figures. It's not, it's going to always be difficult to get the real figures and the real numbers. It's all an underground type of business. But the point being, it's a very business operation to try and run. It's still a criminal, obviously, but the person who's doing this, the networks or the perpetrators, it's all in it for somebody. It's all something. There's something to gain, and it's always going to be money being the driving force, money being the driving factor behind sort of evil. Some of the symptoms and signs that you might be under electronic harassment or gang stalked. It's all about strange events happening that are non-stop, and people also behaving in a bit of an awkward fashion towards you, and even some physical pain and ill health that doesn't seem to go away. When it comes to strange events, the most common one is hearing strange sounds or voices. It might sound like real people or neighbors that are close by. And coupled with that is a feeling of being watched or being followed all the time. So when you do hear these, voice or whatever, it seems like they can see exactly what it is that you're doing in your own home or whatever it is, wherever you are. Your communications are being intercepted, or your emails, you're not suddenly getting emails before, or when you're not getting phone calls from whereas before you would have been getting phone calls from certain people. For some reason, some of your friends don't call you for a long time and you wonder what's going on. Strong suspicion that, somebody could be reading your mind. When you start off, you wouldn't think mind reading is possible. But
mind reading is absolutely possible. In fact, some people have this skill to do that on their own. But they're saying that our computers and our TVs can read our mind now. So mind reading, I believe that some people actually are born with that gift. And so there is possibly somebody always in your head. Okay, and there's actual frequencies that you can listen to, especially if you're under demonic attack. What it is it's a scatter frequency, and it will actually interrupt or intercept, whatever it is that they're doing.
It just seems like whatever you're thinking, other people seem to know what it is exactly that you're thinking in a very creepy and in a very negative way. And you always seem to be on the run for some reason. You always seem to be sort of unsettled for not one day, not for a week, but for a couple of weeks and nonstop. And whenever, when it comes to, always getting overbilled, overcharged, when it's somebody like a handyman that comes in and do a repair, or maybe you go to the dentist, or maybe there's a utility bill that sort of just seems to be getting overcharged, little bits and pieces there and there. And on top of that, you're losing money and possessions pretty quickly. As in over a period of maybe, let's say under 6 months, you're in a position where you've completely might have even lost your house, might have lost your car. It seems to be systematically happening that you just sort of for some reason losing money quickly. A couple of break-ins into your house and theft, maybe things being moved around, and you sort of get the sense that things have been sort of moved, or little stuff has been stolen, or even major stuff. And there's just this non-stop sense that you're in danger, and you're always paranoid, you're always, it's non-stop, you're always worried.
Let me tell y'all something. If you have been dealing with this for years and years, and you know how they work because, and they usually only work at certain times because they're up to something. I feel like they're harnessing energy. You don't have to feel paranoid all the time. I don't feel a nonstop sense of danger. I don't. I just refuse to give them that. Okay. But I have had theft happen to me, things coming up missing. Also things being sort of moved around weirdly. It's so weird.
And you
So
always,
weird.
it's always there. It's
Also
not,
losing money. I ain't lost no money, but targeted individuals, they're constantly attacking your job, like every job. And some of us have been signed up for this shit, and we've been signed up for it since birth. So a lot of you that feel out of control of your life, out of control of your destiny, that's why I come and talk about that a lot. And they're constantly thumbs down in my video because they know that I am telling the truth. And they're angry about it because they just want what they want, even though you're telling them to their face, I know what you're up to. I've seen this shit before. They don't care, and to be honest with you, a lot of them are being thrown in jail because that's where they should be.
not going away. When it comes to people, it could be friends, family, anybody. It could be neighbors, it could be colleagues. And the one thing that's going to strike you is that people seem to know your business. People seem to know what you're doing in your own house, even when you're alone. People seem to know stuff that you did 10 years or years back. You wonder, how do they know you might have been alone? And some of them even know your deepest secrets. And everybody seems to use the same catchphrase. Like they might be implying that you a bad person in one way or the other. It might be implying that you're a pedophile or that you're crazy or you're insane. There are a lot of lies and rumors that are just non-stop. And
they always call you.
Hold on, guys. It just doesn't seem
Hold on. Accusing you of being a pedophile is their favorite thing. That's the first thing they do, is accuse you of being a pedophile. Yeah.
And these rumors are spread to even your friends that are in different provinces or states. So it seems to be like this campaign that somebody's running that's just destroying and discrediting you. Even when you go to the shopping malls and stations, it just seems like
there's always somebody there that
all
knows
these little
you.
setups, all these little things to get you.
People acting like they know you, people knowing your name and shit, just weird shit because they're constantly watching you and sending people after you. And I think that they want you to know that you're being watched. Okay?
Trying to get your attention or trying to get you agitated.
Oh, by the way, guys, some sick men signed their women up for this. So sad. It's sad. A lot of you women that walk down the aisle and you get married, and then your husband or your boyfriend starts with the same rhetoric or rhetoric. And that can be devastating when you know that your husband or boyfriend is in on it. And I will talk about how to deal with that.
Like that. And in your business, in your work, at work, career, this seems to spill all over. There doesn't seem to be a lot of good things happening at work. Colleagues might be against you, and you might even actually get fired. And the whole world seems to just be against you. You're quickly losing friends and relationships, and there is not a single support system. When you try and turn to religion or church or anything, even those are polluted. Those relationships are sort of against you. And
all right, this is what I want to say. A lot of this gang stalking, to answer his question about that, as far as having no ally or support system, that's not true. Okay. Now, I will tell you that a lot of the main religions, they ordain this kind of stalking. Especially if you believe in a different belief system, they love to attack people that are very, very spiritual. So for the very, very spiritual out there, you do have an ally and you do have a support system, and that is God. Okay, so, I think that, I don't agree with everything that this person is saying, but it just kind of seems that way. But the problem is that when you try to go to Christianity, Christians just recently forgave, or was it the Catholics? Anyway, there was a priest or a preacher that had sex with like 30 young people, 30 children, and gave them, and I don't know if he gave them HIV or AIDS, but the Christian church actually forgave a pedophilic preacher. They forgave him for having sex with 30 children and giving and possibly giving them HIV AIDS. So this man killed 30 people, 30 children, ruined their life. 30 sacrifices. We forgive you. Y'all are satanic. You understand what I'm saying? And I will never, ever, ever tell you that you are right for what you are doing. No, God ain't gonna never forgive you for killing 30 children.
Every now and then, you know, in the middle of all of this madness, you think of a friend, and that friend somehow calls you, and this coincidences of people bumping into you and saying it's been a long time since we've seen you, and you kind of have a feeling it's fake. There's this maybe person who shows a lot of interest, and you know it's a bit fishy. When it comes
hey, let me tell y'all something. People that are a part of this gang stalking, they're obvious because they will come with the same rhetoric, the same triggers. You know, different gang stalking programs are for different people. Like I said, the latest is to either sabotage a person's career, to force them down a fucked up dead end train wreck road. Okay, because some of them have a specific goal in mind. The one that I've noticed is the one where they are trying to recruit prostitutes. Okay, or either they're just trying to ruin your reputation or ruin your life. Okay.
to physical and health, it's just the lack of sleep. You know, almost every night you can't seem to sleep for whatever reason. There's pain in different parts of the body, the spinal cord, kidney, the heart, your legs, your eyes could be painful, brain is itching, constant headaches. And at this point, it might actually be obvious that somebody is actually deliberately causing this. I think once you get to this level, you'll be sort of more or less know that there's somebody who's actually even talking to you and saying, I'm going to attack you, I'm going to kill you. When you go to the doctor, they can't seem to find any kind of logical or normal problem. In some cases, they might even suggest that you have, some kind of mental illness. When it comes to your own private thoughts as well, they seems to be a bit of a, they're blocked when you try and think something positive. Some of the thoughts might actually be induced. Have some problems with memory, and you can't remember basic stuff like names of friends and names of colleagues, or basic stuff that shouldn't be a problem to remember, and the concentration is also a challenge. And sometimes you've got feelings that are not yours. You're afraid for no reason, and it's an intense amount of fear. It's an intense, your heart is pounding, and it's not your own feeling, it's sort of like somehow controlled. Also, the dreams get a little bit strange. They're vivid, you can remember them. They're also perverted, they're twisted. Everybody knows the pattern of their dreams, and somehow these dreams are a little bit a little bit strange and extreme. And sometimes you've got strong urges. You might be suddenly craving food, certain type of food that is bad for you. You have a controlled appetite. You've suddenly got too much or too little appetite, and maybe even the sexual appetite is controlled. As all of these things are happening, there's just an abnormal amount of stress and depression that just doesn't go away for months and months and months. When you try and pray, your prayers are interrupted. You might find yourself even swearing at God, or swearing at whoever the creator, whoever the God is. You can't seem to pray whenever you try and pray.
There are some targeted individuals that are afraid to pray out loud because they feel that they are listening. And somehow they are listening, because I've noticed that when I'm at my altar, the phone will ring. It'll be some kind of phone call from them, because they know that you're talking. So they want to hear your prayers. It's sick. They're very, very sick people.
Your mind is sort of redirected to something else. It's also impossible to meditate when you try and calm yourself down, because the perpetrators or the guys who are doing this know that meditation is probably going to be good for you. And overall, life just gets worse on a daily basis. Every one of us go through obstacles, but somehow we always manage to overcome them after a few weeks, after a few months. But in this case, it just seems to get worse all the time. And there's just this feeling that you're no longer in control of your own life, that there's somebody else. All the events, can't be so unlucky. It can't always be bad events. That's because they're orchestrated. And you're simply just living in hell. And positive thinking or attitude or prayer doesn't seem to work. So if it's all of these events happening, if it's just this whole non-stop set of strange events happening, that's when you know that there's probably a very, very good chance that you're under gang stalking and electronic harassment.
All right, y'all. I am going to jump back on camera and talk to you guys about this. Hold on a minute. All right, so I think the most devastating to a lot of people that are being gang stalked is when you can't, when you don't know who to trust. And, some people make it obvious that they're in on the stuff, but a lot of the people in your life, especially if they're acting strangely, if there's certain times that they won't make contact with you, a lot of times people are monitoring you to try to set you up. It's really a very, very sucky thing to deal with. And let me just tell y'all something. God does love you. They're telling you that nobody likes you. Everybody hates you. You're going to die. Everything that you do is going to fail and all this stuff. And I think that it really takes a very, very strong mind. Now, the one thing I want to tell you is that if you have been going through this and you have defeated it several times, and they have just decided we are going to take you down, we don't care, you have to speak out publicly about it. Okay. You also have to file your police reports when they're doing something very covert. Call the police. Let them know what's going on. Okay, that's the only way to protect yourself. You're not snitching. You're protecting your life. And a lot of people are really sensitive to gang stalking. They do bully people online because they feed off of you. A lot of the people that have murdered themselves online, okay, literally murdered themselves live on Facebook. They are under covert gang stalking. I've seen people recently that have been sort of sent through this, some mullein leaf, guys. It's not marijuana, it's mullein leaf. See that? Mullein leaf. You have to stay close to God. I feel like targeted individuals are very, very blessed by God, because that's the only reason why these demonic people are after you. Again, you have to be strong. You guys have seen me go through it. Oh, you have. Everything that you have seen is covert, narcissistic gang stalking. Okay. A lot of them use those tactics to get you to do something that they want you to do. In my case, it's to move back to Kansas City. Well, we all know that it's impossible. People are crazy. People are childish and insane, especially when you uproot your life somewhere and these people are trying to cause calamity in your life because they're childish and they don't know how to stop. They don't know how to leave well enough alone. They don't know how to leave you alone. If somebody's getting paid to gang stalk you, more than likely they won't stop. It'll take them a while because the money is too good. I happen to know for a fact that, when they're doing these little attacks against me, they actually pay somebody to call the police and do all this stuff. And, the police will show up over here and it's kind of like, well, we're just kind of sitting here doing our thing. And you have to let them know, hey, I have stalkers. And usually it's crazy because the police, they kind of, like I said, I believe a lot of police have like an intuition, that's how they're able to do investigations and solve crimes. So I believe a lot of times they are aware of this. Do I believe the police are in on it? No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't believe all police officers are in on it. I believe that there could be police officers in on it. You have to protect yourself. I have been in Georgia for 2 years, and these people have been trying to do 3 things to me. Drive me crazy. They haven't done it. Cause me to commit suicide or be depressed. That will never happen. And they've also been trying to get me locked up for crimes that I would never commit on any day in any year. So they're very good. They always use somebody that is a good manipulator when they're doing what they're doing. And there are what I call low budget. They're low budget because they will pretend that they have power, but the only power that they have is by making phone calls that are lies. And it looks stupid. It does, and it's not worth it, because if you send yes, Bobby.
Really?
Hold on, guys. Let me see. Let me go take care of Jacob. I'll be right back. I'm gonna play a video for you guys related to the topic. If you are having this issue, you need to take care of it right away. And it's not just you would have to use a hex removal, but it's very demonic in nature. It's spiritual warfare. So you really have to get them where it hurts. You have to get them where it hurts. You cannot take it easy on these people. And the main thing they're going to do is play victim. They're going to try to act like, oh my God, you're hurting me. You're hurting me. I haven't done anything. Yes, they have. They know exactly what they've done to you. Okay. You can't never conform, and you always read. All right. I'll be right back.
Being a targeted individual. Most of us started as non-victims, and up until the point where we've gathered enough knowledge and had a sort of a fair amount of understanding. So as a non-victim, most people just live their normal life. They go about their daily business with no problems. And unfortunately, I think a lot of them don't understand that this sort of thing exists. This electronic harassment thing does exist. It's important to just be informed, even if it's not happening to you, even if you're still not a victim. Mostly just to try and prevent the massive damage that can happen. It's a system that's designed specifically to sort of take out all your finances, make you dry and empty and have no money, have no way of supporting yourself. Also, the common trick that they play is they're trying to get the victim to move places, move from apartment to apartment or whatever, change states or provinces. And when you do try and get a lot of help, medical help, it's probably just going to be a misdiagnosis, and you end up spending a lot of money for nothing. Doctors might tell you there's no problem, or they might give you a wrong diagnosis. The whole thing with gangstalking and electronic harassment is that it's very unfair. You only get experience by going through the thing. So it's only once you get in the hole and you find there's actually no way out that a lot of the things begin to make sense. Also, a lot of the damage is completely irreversible. Once you've lost your job, once you've lost your money and your friends, it becomes nearly impossible to get all of those things back. And also, the perpetrators seem to control the face.
If you lost a friend, they were never your friend in the first place. Let them go. So this guy's kind of negative about it. He might be a stalker. You know what I'm saying? Because he seems to be trying to scare people, and he's just being really negative. You know what I'm saying? Now, again, it just really depends on who you are. Okay.
They seem to sort of dictate. They drain. They might sort of cut off all your friends, cut off your entire support system, and isolate you. And then once it's very difficult, they know that you can't get any kind of support, then they only move you on to the next phase. So the first level is a newbie, a person who's sort of signed up to this gangstalking program and who's a victim. And most people are completely unaware.
My stalkers right now that are doing this covert operation, they think that I'm a newbie, but I'm not. So I've already bypassed the 3rd, 4th, and 5th goddamn level of your fucking stalking. So I know your next move. In fact, the spirits told me what you were going to do. They tell me everything that you're going to do. You have to get a good spiritual support system, and you have to curse these people because they're going to do it to you. You cannot feel pity for your enemy. Remember I told you guys that? Stop it. Stop feeling pity for them and stop being afraid of them. Be completely unafraid.
Because perpetrators, again, controlling the pace, they're not going to play all their cards immediately at the same time. Also, what they do is that they do a lot of pre-study beforehand. They study your actions and routines, and they check you out, and you still think life is normal and you're completely unaware of what's going on. And the worst case for a newbie is that you run on for years without knowing what's going on, without knowing that this thing is gangstalking, and maybe even believe misinformation. People who say this doesn't exist, the technology isn't there yet. Move on to the next level. Maybe within months, there's bound to be a lot of strange events happening. Things at work, or maybe you might even start experiencing strange things around the house. There's a lot of madness, or maybe you're in public, but you can't just put it. It's very difficult to put a name. It's very there's a lot of weird things, but you don't know what to call it, and you keep on bumbling on. And it's a bit of an ironic situation where it's important for the person at level 2 having a lot of these suspicions to get the launch quicker. Again, just the case of avoiding cash, avoiding losing as much money as possible. I mean, money is the key here. Once you broke, it's very, very difficult, and to try and hold on to the job as much as possible. The trick that they play is that you've got to move a job. Your job is your means of making money, and they know very well they're going to make it impossible for you to get the next job. And then you move on to the next level, which is getting the first knowledge after months and months of all of these crazy days.
If you have went through level 1 and you're going through that, if you even suspect that you're being gang stalked, if you get a job, do not let people know where the hell you work. They don't need to know. It's none of their business. And that's the first thing they're going to do. They call you to get information. And then when you start the job, the next thing you know, you're having problems. Everybody looking at you crazy, stuff like that. I believe that they do electronically harass people at your job sometimes. And I believe that it's definitely the work of satanic witchcraft.
You begin to know the terminology. You begin to know there's such a thing as gangstalking. And at first, the information might be very hard to digest because it's for whatever reason. It just doesn't seem believable. It just doesn't seem logical. It doesn't, it's very difficult to work out the motive, for one, as to why people would gang stalk you or people would follow you the entire day. But I mean, after some experience, you would soon find out that those people are actually getting paid. It's all a money-making scheme. It's just another way of making profits. The biggest mistake that a person in level 3 can make is to be in denial or disbelief. And again, to remain in this phase for too long. Also because there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of information that's deliberately made to keep you in the dark and make you keep you as uninformed as possible. That's the whole game of misinformation. Fortunately, and I think there are a lot of victims now that sort of progress to the next phase. After lots of experiences, I mean, it's very difficult to still lie to the guy and say, look, you're crazy or whatever. Understanding of the full picture, understanding that this is actually a system. Electronic harassment and gang stalking, organized stalking, it's all a system. You understand almost the A to Z. However, some still believe that this can be reversed, that you can almost somehow lead a normal life. There's still a lot of misinformation out there that it's a microchip or it's a nano implant or it's an RFID chip that gets implanted into your body, and then you can go to surgery. You pay lots of money to remove it, but it's probably not the case. And others believe that you can actually lodge a lawsuit, create a case, and actually think that they can win. And then move on to the next level, which is level 5. Typically after many years or many months of seeing the routine and suffering and seeing the same kind of pain. And depending on the level of attacks, some normal, good-hearted people, victims, are sort of tempted to become perpetrators. I mean, they usually get offered better deals and say, like, look, if you join us, you become a perpetrator, we're not going to attack you, or we're not going to, it's going to be easy on you. But life
They're usually trying to get you to join some bullshit or some fucking train wreck that ain't got nothing to do with what the hell you doing. Okay? They're probably doing something that is, they're disgusting individuals. Very disgusting individuals. Okay?
very unpleasant. And as a level 5 person, as a level, as somebody who's very experienced, the goal should be to make it quicker for the next victim to know what's going on. I mean, right now, my guess is that most victims spend minimum, on average, about 2 to 3 years losing cash, losing friends, lost, running around in circles and not knowing what it is that's going on. I mean, the simple trick there is just to sit still and know that this is all the events are orchestrated, all the events are sort of artificial and made. And then also contributing to making this thing stop. A lot of the victims are actually good working people with lots of skills, people who are very intelligent, people who are, they're not criminals, they're educated. A lot of them are, if you were to give them a job, they could be contributing to society. Imagine if all of us were to come together and move on to the next generation of being a TR, not just sobbing and feeling sorry for ourselves, but strategically coming up with ideas of trying to make this whole thing stop. And I think our goal, anybody's goal at level 5 should be to make this thing stop as quickly as possible.
All right, guys, I'm back. I just wanted to take care of some things. On the part where he said friends and family, especially family, are in on it, your family is actually the ones that are doing it. Okay, I've seen lots of targeted individuals. I believe that Sandra Bland was a targeted individual. I do believe that there are some family members or families that will put hits out on other family members. Some families operate like a cult. Okay. For some reason, with some people, just simply trying to live your life is enough for them to kick into gear and start with this gang stalking. So I believe that definite family members, some people are not being targeted by the government, the CIA. The government and the CIA ain't worried about your ass. Okay. It's your family. And they gonna lie to you. And you know what? This is what you don't do. First of all, you get you a support system, people that are outside of that. You are never going to make good with those people. Those people are always going to be who they are. They were dirty from the beginning, and you just have to let them go. Okay? You have to find a support system for yourself. I can be a support system because I've been through exactly what you are going through. I've actually been going through it off and on my whole life. The gang stalking, covert tactics have been used on me to try to control me. Some families, they have what I call blackness. Okay. This is when I believe they're death vultures, a lot of your parents they hold life insurance policies on you. So the older you get, that life insurance will mature. And a lot of times target individuals are either murdered or because sometimes they can't murder you, especially if you are speaking out publicly about it. Okay, that would look too suspicious. So that's when they try to do things to try to make you unhappy. Okay, this is when they'll try to drive you to suicide. Now, I've seen some people that are a part of the gang stalking program. They are so largely into it. First of all, gang stalkers are suicidal. They're suicidal themselves. In order for somebody to want to do this to another individual, you've got to be demonic and not have anything real to live for. Okay. When they begin to, handlers, let's talk about handlers. Most of the time, especially when you're meeting people online, your gang stalkers or whoever is at the base of it, they're sending people to you. See what I'm saying? They're also using spell work, specific. What are y'all fighting about? Hold on. Jake, what's the matter, bubbies? I think it's absolutely disgusting. And, you know, a lot of people are just like so desperate to be a part of something. Oh God, oh. And a lot of times gang stalkers need attention themselves, and they'll accuse you of wanting that kind of attention, and you won't. Come on, baby. What? Hold on, guys. I'll be right back. Some kind of injustice happened or something. What the heck? All right, guys, I'm back. The electronic harassment. Okay. They will do things to damage people around you. I actually have had to do a lot of healing on my youngest son because they have attacked the hell out of him since he was in my womb. And I could tell that I was under demonic attack even when I was pregnant with Jacob because it was a public pregnancy and because I publicized it on YouTube. And there was a lot of people wishing death on Jacob. They were wishing that he was born with some kind of special needs, and he wasn't. But what they do, because for some reason, my gang stalkers, they're so sick and backwards and warped in their thinking that they actually will try to create things in you and then, you know, try to make it look like certain things. So there's been certain symptoms that sometimes, you know, even my kids will display, and I have to use things like essential oils, frequencies, and then also spell work. I've actually had to do extensive spell work and healing work on my son because they have been attacking my son. Now, this happened before all of these extra people came along. This has been happening. This is one of the reasons why I left and moved to Lawrence, Kansas. Okay. And Lawrence is really symbolic because during slavery, a lot of the runaway slaves ran away to Lawrence, Kansas because they had abolished slavery in Lawrence, Kansas. So Kansas City, Missouri has a really, really sick history of being the last state to free the slaves. Like that's kind of deep when you think about it. And when you think about how there are people, look, slavery is illegal, okay? But there are people that will try to have this privatized slavery. And I believe in calling the police on them. I believe in reporting everything. The first thing that you got to do is you got to report everything that they do. And eventually they will be prosecuted like they should be. Okay. Especially when they are blatant and open with it. Okay. Now, there are several agencies that you can contact, especially if you are being stalked and harassed online. It's very, very dangerous what they do. If you're not familiar with it, you know, with the electronic attacks, with the psychological warfare that they use, it can sort of leave you catatonic sometimes, you know, and it'll be coming directly from the people around you, and you will feel like everybody is a part of it. Because I've heard people say, oh, I ain't got no friends directly to me. You know, even though I'm a good person, I don't have any reason to want to gang stalk anybody. I think it's disgusting. I think that people that do it should be thrown in jail. Okay. And I think that they should definitely pay punitive damages to their victims. And I think that eventually, you know, because there's a lot of people that have lots of proof, and stalkers, like, they don't understand that you're stalking somebody, obviously, but you're doing it in a group. Okay. So I think that, you know, people that are able to hire private investigators and stuff like that, I think that you definitely have to try to gain national attention on it. And it has gained national attention. And people that are doing this stuff, they're criminals. They're criminals. They're not your friend. Even if you try to be a part of their operation, you can't never trust them. Okay? And that's why people that are a part of that gang stalking, they don't even trust each other. They don't. And it's sad that they do this to some people, but it does happen. Okay, to a lot of people. So you guys can do your own research on this. And if you feel like you are a targeted individual, I'm the girl to come to, because if it were not for my spells, and if it were not for my protection, and if it were not for my good karma, there would have been something incredibly horrible that would have happened to me. Now for people that are spiritualists, activating your light body, getting in touch with the angels has helped a lot of people tremendously, because they are protecting you. Okay. So a lot of them are very angry. They've been trained and programmed. They've been told you're a horrible person. That's why they're threatening to kill you. And a lot of people that are signed up for this gang stalking program, they're not horrible people. They're just sacrifices, usually for insurance money. They're all waiting for some big payout that they'll never get. Okay. So some of you got life insurances that's like 100,000. Some people got 150,000 on you, and they want that money. They do. A lot of people with narcissistic parents will be a targeted individual. So a lot of you are like, oh, we need to heal and da 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 da. No, you don't. If your parent ever signed you up for that program, and if your parent ever did that to you, your parent don't give a shit about you. They don't. They don't care about your life. They don't care about your choices. They don't care about your freedom. They don't care about your human rights. They don't care about your feelings. They don't give a fuck about you, period. So stop thinking that you're ever going to be able to heal when you are a victim of this shit. Not with those people. You're not. You need to get a support system, one that is familiar with exactly what you're going through. Okay. And go from there, okay, and start to heal yourself. That person doesn't want to be healed. They want you dead. You understand what I'm saying? They want you dead. They've been planning your death since you were born, and they already have your burial plot. They already have it planned. A lot of them already got it planned to how they gonna act out at your funeral. Oh, Lord. Oh, God. Oh, Lord. Oh, throw themselves on the coffin. Is anybody watching me cry? Oh. They already got all that planned. And the sad part about it is that they actually don't act with each other, but they're constantly putting on an act with you. That's why they're like a brick wall. They stick with the rhetoric. They stick with the script. They're never going to go beyond that script ever, because they have a specific goal in mind. And you know what mine has been? You know what I've noticed throughout the years? Women trying to turn me into a prostitute. And then actual prostitutes angry that I'm not a prostitute. Angry. So it's kind of like, you got to be careful with that. And they will try to ruin your reputation. They are constantly in contact with each other. And if you suspect that somebody that you know is a part of that, and you know that they are, because they're coming with the same rhetoric, you know the shit ain't the truth. They're coming at you with the same bullshit. And you have to cut that person off, because that person is now considered to be a demonic, satanic, programmed handler. Okay, so I want to play a video about when your boyfriend or your husband is your handler. Okay, what do you do about that? What do you do when the person that you thought you could trust the most is actually a part of this program? What do you do when that happens? That can make you feel really, really, you know what? And the gang stalkers, they want you to know. They will reveal to you after a while that your boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever you're involved with is a part of it. And you'll feel like, oh my God, I'll never be able to get away from this situation. I'll never be able to get out of it, but you can. You can. And people that have signed up for this program to stalk you, please believe that, you know, I would err against caution with forgiving those people. Oh, please forgive me for trying to be a part of an operation that, you know, lied on you, slandered you, publicly humiliated you, assassinated your character. Forgive me for that. Okay, that's just a continuation of the program. All right, so I'm going to show you guys the video about when your boyfriend is your handler or your husband is your handler. There was a video that I wanted to, and there's actually a test that you can get, that you can do. There's a lot of videos. I'm going to link you guys some videos. There's this video. I'm actually going to watch this later. I didn't see this one, but there's one that I want you to see. All right. This one right here is titled, and I know a lot of women are afraid because you guys have been subject to covert, and it only works on young people. Okay. This is why a lot of young people get bullied and harassed into selling their bodies. For a lot of Black or Native American people, they are trying to pimp you. Okay, they will come to you about some kind of sexual shit that they're trying to make you, you know, they're trying to force you to do. They will get violent. Number one symptom that your man or your boyfriend is a handler is if he's abusive to you. Okay. Where is that freaking video? Here it is right here. Are you married to your handler? Some of you are married to your handler. Some of you are not. Some of you were lucky enough to find somebody that was not into it. And then some of your husbands or boyfriends, they actually initially was in the program and they got out of it. Okay. They actually, you know, may have developed feelings for you, and, you know, they don't want to be a part of that because that's horrible. Isn't it? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and here's another video, guys. I'll play the Mason's Silent Dagger. So I'd love to see this too with you guys, and then I'm gonna go. It is spiritual, just to let you guys know. If you are some kind of spiritualist, high priestess, you will be targeted. Okay, so
will government get away with false flags? Like 9/11, Sandy Hook, basically everything, almost everything that's going on is a false flag. How are they getting away with it? You know, there's a lot of people involved, a lot of people dedicating basically their entire lives to it because it's this way the system works. It's like a job, right? But they incorporate it into their whole lives. Like if you grow up with this, I mean, I have kids gang stalking me, you know? What are these kids going to be like when they grow up? They're probably going to end up marrying someone who is, it's very likely, or it's very possible that they will marry someone who ends up be their handler. Like, how do you explain that? Like a targeted individual, they will set you up with someone who is a government spy, basically, someone who is whatever.
I don't really like this video, guys. I didn't look at this at first. I don't like it because he keeps trying to bring the government into it and all of that. Yeah, the government could be involved with it, but let me find another video because I do know that there are a lot of people that are married to their handlers. And what I posted in the chat room is that this goes back generations. Sometimes your father can be a perpetrator, and they could have impregnated your mother. So if your mother was actually a victim of a perp, which could be your father, then it will continue. And a lot of times your mother, they can't fight it. They feel like their back is against the wall. Okay. A lot of times they will feel that way. And I think it's sick. I think that as a mother, you should have an interest of protecting your children. Okay. So I wouldn't give a damn. I would protect my children at all costs.
Handlers change as a targeted individual's life changes.
Shit, this is not what I wanted. Hold on. Yeah, the handlers that they send will, there was a couple of videos on here talking about how they set you up with your boyfriends and your husbands and stuff like that.
I asked James Harkin if I could use his this video for re-uploading onto my channel. So he said I could because it's really good. He's a really true gang stalking researcher, trying to figure it out, trying to find a way to end the harassment and the torture of gang stalking. And he's doing some great job, great work with this. So I'll put the link in the description box for his channel, and I hope you subscribe to his channel because he's really I
don't like that video either. All right, let's see what this guy's talking about.
Okay, everyone. This is going to be a short video. What I want to demonstrate today is 2 levels of gang stalkers.
Interesting. His sound is shit.
Hey, YouTube. So, yeah, here's in a bit of a transition right now. Wild. Anyway, quick video, quick question. This relates to gang stalking and the idea that this might all actually be related to people lineage.
Mm-hmm.
The typical set of ideas around why
there are some of us that come from a specific bloodline, and if you're from a specific bloodline, you may have this kind of terrorism, and because they are trying to sacrifice you. Okay. Now, I don't know about the Rh negative bloodline because my blood type is actually B positive. So
people are chosen for these programs. Well, there's a couple of different ideas. Some people believe that it's random. And if you are, in fact, a targeted individual, you're part of some huge global government program to subvert certain people, to monitor, watch, stalk, harass, destroy the health and lives of certain individual for some unknown reason. Some believe that the people who are being chosen for these programs are special in the sense that at least because maybe of their activist status, the government feels it necessary, or someone feels it necessary to control and affect their lives in these negative ways. Some people believe this is about future events, that someone has knowledge of, and as such find it necessary to destroy these people. The idea that I wanted to put out there is that this more specifically relates to who you are, where you come from. We're not all the same. That can be demonstrated without a doubt. In a number of different ways. For example, well, there's the typical, there's the Cain line, that some people came from at some point in our human development. We sort of spawned from these 2 different lines, the Cain line, and I suppose the Seth Noah line. Another example, some people are born occasionally with a tail hanging from the back, and that's, although very odd, apparently we all at some point during our development in the womb carry this tail. And for most of us, it falls off before we're born. Some people are born with other freakish anomalies, such as extra nipples. What's that about? If it's not just some freakish aspect of your development as a fetus, what is that related to? Then there's your blood type. Everybody has a different blood type. O negative blood, for example, why is that the usual blood type? That regardless of the recipient's original blood type, if you need a transfusion in an emergency, O negative can be used for just about anyone. Then there's the Rh negative, Rh positive blood factor. About 15% of humanity at present carries Rh negative blood. Some suggest that this goes back to the bloodline of Christ. Some suggest that this is some alien off-world influence, why Rh negative people don't have that rhesus factor. So someone, in my opinion, collects and monitors this information, about your blood lineage. And I'm wondering if the people who are being selected for these programs to be stalked and harassed and whatever else, whether it has to do with that sort of original line, whether it has to do with that original sort of heritage. So what I wanted to ask everyone who watches this video and is in fact being harassed, is in fact a part of these programs to do, if you don't think it's too personal, in your comments below, indicate if you are in fact a targeted individual, and if you are in fact, and indicate also, I should say, what your blood type is. And as a matter of fact, if you have any sort of freak anomalies like extra.
Who is this Edward Snowden?
Snowden says he was astonished back then at the access he had at his fingertips, most notably including a computer program that, as he put it, could get inside your thought process.
When I think about an instance that really just struck me as, oh my God, we can do this, and that we can do it to anyone, was that people at NSA, analysts, can actually watch people's internet communications, watch them draft correspondence, and actually watch their thoughts form as they type. As you write a message, an analyst at the NSA or any other service out there that's using this kind of attack against people can actually see you write sentences and then backspace over your mistakes and then change the words and then kind of pause and think about what you wanted to say and then change it. And it's this extraordinary intrusion, not just into your communications, your finished messages, but your actual drafting process, into the way you think.
Mm-hmm. So guys, this is a very real thing, and I believe these are these weapons of mass destruction that they were talking about. I want to talk about some of the electronic devices that they use. A lot of them think they're practicing magic. They're not. You're using electronics. Oh, oops. It's so stupid. It's ridiculous, but unfortunately it happens. There's a website called Stop Electronic Weapons and Stop Gang Stalking. Gang stalking equals organized murder. Okay, so they are trying to kill you. So if somebody that you know is a part of this, and a lot of times they'll try to trick you. Okay. But if you're being gang stalked, whoever's involved with it, they don't care about you. Okay. Oh, there's that Edwards. I think that was Edward. Yeah, Edward Snowden. So he evidently has conferences and stuff and events about this because it's become an increasing problem. And people know that it happens. People know. Okay. Now, I'm going to read this to you guys because it's kind of tiny. Gang stalking, often accompanied by electronic harassment / electronic torture, is used to cause the physical or mental death of the target. The target is driven insane and commits suicide, collapse into a psychiatric patient, commits a constructed crime. This is called premeditated murder, and the ones participating are murderers. They know that they're trying to kill you. Okay. Gang stalking is also called organized stalking, but it is better to call it organized murder. I agree, because they do want you dead. Okay. A very limited amount of methods is social isolation. They will try to deprive you of sleep in many, many different ways. I don't even want to get into how I was sleep deprived for years. You're always surrounded, never alone, no privacy. Your neighbors will stalk you. Okay, rude behavior from random people, workplace mobbing and breaking friendships, character assassination, spreading rumors, feedback about conversations nobody can know, honking horns, shoving chairs, bouncing balls, shoes with high heels. I don't know what the hell that meant. Receive phone calls, emails, SMSs at specific moments, pigeon cooing, crow screaming, dog barking on and off, central heating, deep freeze on off. Wow. Ticking against central heating components, coughing, slamming, door leaking. I don't know what all this is about. I don't know what this is. But right here, also over here with the electronic harassment, which is also electronic torture. I was looking for the list of things that they actually use. Well, I don't know if they've actually identified the electronic devices that they use. I do believe they're psychopathic, and I do believe they are failed human beings. So if somebody wants you dead, they can actually stalk and harass the hell out of you. And a lot of people have. The one thing you got to realize is that, you know, I believe that let me make sure that hold on, guys. Okay. I believe that it is spiritual whenever this happens, because there's really no good reason. The only explanation that I can give is that they're looking for sacrifices. Okay. And the sacrifices is, I believe that what they want from you is validation. So you'll find that a lot of gang stalkers will want attention. And they will use attention off of you. It's like, hey, let me tell you about this person. And then, ooh, I get attention, you know, off of this person. It's really sick. It's really satanic. And I am a fucking miracle. Do you understand me? When they tried to murder me about 13 or 14 years ago, I was very, very, very lucky, because around the same time, and it was so crazy because just all of a sudden, the whole family, like everybody turned against me. And at the core, I knew it was my mother. Okay. I knew it was her. So sometimes you could have somebody that's really like, you never know a person. You know what I'm saying? So, for example, years ago when this first happened, you guys know the popular show Family Guy. And you know how Peter Griffin hates his daughter. So, you know, now my father was nowhere around during that time, but I do suspect that, you know, my father has to know something about this. He's turning a blind eye, but, you know, again, another Christian hypocrite. But, you know, my mother had this thing with the whole family where they would, you know, say, oh, you're Meg Griffin, you know, and it just all of a sudden. And at the time she did it for revenge because she was upset that I slept with somebody that was like 20 years younger than her. And I guess he was her boyfriend or whatever, or I think he was everybody's boyfriend in the family, actually. It was really sick. It's really sick. Okay. I've came on here and talked about a lot of times how I can't trust my mother. So all of you people that's running around here and you're seeing all these mother witches and you're seeing them talk all this bullshit about, you know, parenting and, you know, respecting your elders. I have respect for my elders. I'm not going to respect my parent that wants to kill me for no reason. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And a lot of times your parents, I don't know why people try to front as if, but you know, especially if you had a mother that was an abortion queen. Then after her abortions, she realized that she could raise you, you know, try to damage you purposely. Okay, they will do things like drink while they're pregnant with you to try to induce mental problems within their child. If they can't do it, then they'll try to, you know, so it's almost like, and then it was funny because when Obama went into office, you know, there was a lot of talk about how, you know, when he did the late term abortion, when he signed that bill for that. And then also, you know, if a late term abortion baby is born, to just murder it because the mother has decided that she wants it dead for whatever reason. And I believe that a lot of people are sick enough, especially if you don't conform to exactly what they want. You know, then it's like, oh, I'll just throw you away. Especially a lot of African American parents, they feel like, oh, I'll just get rid of you and I'll just, you know, I'll just use your kids. So that's why a lot of African American parents, grandparents, are constantly harassing their children, constantly trying to gain control over the children. Okay. And it is very sick. And I'm a miracle because they have done a lot to me and I'm still standing. So you can actually overcome it. You just have to be smart about it. Don't be some stupid idiot sitting around talking about, I don't want to snitch on these people. I'm scared. Nope. You cannot be scared of these people. Do you think that I am afraid of these people? No, I am not. Okay. The reason why I'm not afraid is because I have God. Okay. I also feel that I do have a support system. A lot of my supporters are afraid. They're afraid to speak up. I feel like if you see this happening to somebody, especially when it's somebody that's just really trying to live their life and they're being gang stalked out of some sick revenge that doesn't even exist. You know, sometimes gang stalkers will have to make up something. Like you can literally leave town, never say anything to them, and they're going to act like you've done something to them. And they're going to call around to the schools. They're going to call around to your jobs. They're going to call around to everybody that you know. They're going to contact people on your Facebook list. They're going to try to eliminate people from your life. They're going to tell them, oh, this person is dangerous and da 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 da, even though there is no proof for a lot of people that this is the truth. Now, if you are a targeted individual that has actually went and committed crimes and actually, you know, suffered from mental illness, because they can induce mental illness symptoms in you, you know, just that paranoia alone. A lot of people are very sensitive to that. Okay. There's a lot of TIs themselves and sacrifices that are doing the same thing to me. Okay. They don't know any other way out. They think that they're going to get some kind of big cookie at the end of the day, but they're not, because it is a spiritual war. Okay. And as long as you stay close to God, you stay close to your spirits, you know, and for me, I get the advantage because I get the information. I actually can hear their rituals. I can hear them. I can feel them. And they are very hateful. And it's crazy because a lot of times it's people that you know and you love doing that shit to you. And at the same time, they're claiming that they love you. You know damn well that person don't love you or give a damn about you. And it's time for you to find better people in your life. Okay, because everybody is not a part of that gang stalking program. Everybody is not your enemy. See, they can get people to that point where they'll be paranoid. You know what I'm saying? And you can't do that. So you have to just be as transparent with people as possible. In fact, if you feel that they've hacked into your cell phone, you know, you need to let people know, hey, you know, if somebody contacts you, don't believe a word that they say. It sounds weird, but you have to do that. If that person cares about you, respects you, and you explain to them what's going on, unfortunately, you have to explain to people what's going on, because a lot of people are going to be like, what the flubber bup is the fuck is going on? And you're sitting up there like trying to explain to them what is going on, especially if it's your family. You don't go and introduce your loved ones to your family. In fact, when you have a very particularly negative family and you start having children, you need to get the fuck away from them. First of all, we're all grown. Okay. People meet friends, they have confidants, they have, husbands and children. And, nobody's wanting to sit around with, their cousins the rest of their life, or their, a lot of times when you're a grown person, you don't even talk to your family members every day. Okay. You're not supposed to, you don't have to. And if you do have somebody in your family that you're close with, whoop-de-doo and fine. But if you're in that kind of situation, because usually they'll try to set somebody up that will claim that they are not a part of it. They're a part of it. Okay. And the way that you can decipher the difference is when, because all of us are being gang stalked. Okay. All of us are being gang stalked. You understand? So a lot of you, and what's funny is that your gang stalkers will actually talk to you and tell you that it's someone else stalking you. Isn't that interesting? And it's not you. You haven't done a damn thing to them. Well, that can also be a part of the gang stalking program, to where they're constantly making accusations. I mean, it's so obvious. They're so covert about it. You can't, it's a brick wall. If it's somebody like that, just hang up the damn phone and keep it moving. Okay. And I think that you literally, and see people like that, they constantly come back. They constantly coming back harassing you. Continue to ignore them. Continue to live your life. And if they are covertly and demonically attacking you, you can get spiritual protection. In fact, I believe that you should just go ahead and do whatever you can to curse them. Okay. That's what I feel about them, because they've cursed you. So why should you care? See, they want you to feel sorry for them. Well, why should I feel sorry for you? You don't feel sorry for me and the things that you're doing. And so the demon will talk directly to you and say, well, why won't you conform to this? You deserve it. This is what you deserve, because they're sick. They're sick. You don't want to be involved with people like that. Okay. You can never, ever, ever change them. It just is what it is. But you can find a support system, love, kindness, compassion, people that care about you outside of that. Okay. And if you're experiencing like a demonic attack, like right now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I am currently under demonic attack. They actually they did something. They really, whoever is doing it is good, but now you're going to go to hell, and you're going to have a lot of problems in your life. It wasn't hilarious, but I knew it was coming. Spirits told me what they were going to do. And so yesterday morning, I wake up with a knock on my door. There's a police officer and a CPS agent. The reason why they did that is because they're trying to use this guy, De Niro Red, to drive me crazy, is what they're doing. Okay. I don't feel that, it's kind of like, so they do things, they say things, and then they assume things. So this is what's in their head. You know what I'm saying? The main thing that they didn't think about me, but that they know about themselves, which is what they're doing, harming their children for some demonic force. They thought that I was going to harm my children because of that, and it will never happen. And I know for a fact that there are a lot of people that are harming their children for nothing. There's no payout. There's nothing for you at the end of the road. You're a train wreck. You're going to end up exactly where you belong, which is either in jail or in hell. And I do believe that you should bestow upon them the same thing that they have done to you. I don't believe that you should go around threatening people. I don't believe that you should. Now, you can confront them because, yeah, they're going to piss you off. But I think that you should handle them spiritually. Definitely. I'm not going to tell you how I decided to handle them, because you just got to do what you got to do. This is a difference between your life and someone else's, and you cannot give up your life for anyone else. Now, do I believe that this guy, De Niro, is directly related to that? I don't really, I just think that they use him, for whatever they're doing. And my heart goes out to anybody that is being used for that feel like they don't have any other choice. It's very, very sad that, they would actually think that, but they want other people to think that about you. They actually know that you're not dumb enough to do that and that you're mentally capable. A lot of them are just reflecting and projecting because they have actually harmed their kids. I know that there's a lot of kids that have been beaten when they were children. Okay. Because some man left your mama. And your mama took it out on you and beat your ass because of it. It's sick, isn't it? Well, I wouldn't take my anger out on my children. Of course not. I've never done that. Okay. Look, a lot of the stalkers, they're angry at someone else. They're angry about their life. Their life has been affected negatively by this. See what I'm saying? So the reason why they feel comfortable with doing that to you is because it's been done to them. And a lot of times, especially when somebody has turned into an abuser, when they were abused as a child, they'll try to justify it. Oh, when I was younger, oh, y'all just some punks and da 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 da. And when I was younger, my father would line us up and beat us with a bat and da 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 and cuss us out. And you're just too sensitive is what they'll tell you and shit like that, because they're trying to normalize this shit. They want it normalized, and it'll never be normalized. Okay. Innocent citizens and victims of this, the way that you validate them is if you succumb to what they're doing. And it was what I was going to say about the targeted individual. And there are times when they will kind of try to control, your thought processes and shit. So I was actually getting ready to say something really important about targeted individuals and the people that are targeting you. A lot of them don't know who the fuck you are. They're just doing what they're doing because they're being told to do it. And I believe in hitting them where it hurts and going for the main vampire. Okay. And then all of the little vampires, will be affected by the big vampire that's doing what they're doing. Okay. So if you are a person that's been through this, I'm going to get out of here. It was something really important that I was going to say about people that are doing the gang stalking. They usually are being extorted or threatened in some kind of way. So they actually have some sort of threat that forces them to do this because it's against the law. They can go to jail for it. And a lot of people have went to jail for it. It's illegal to stalk people online. It's illegal to, defame someone's character. And all of those things are illegal. Okay, so if you're like me, I'm going to continue to complain and complain. I have actually been to the police. I have been to the state attorneys. I've been to a lot of people complaining about this for years. And it's actually helped me because it lets these people know that you're covering yourself. And, and you know what? I'm going to tell you something. A lot of the times, it is typically because someone is mentally ill. Okay, people that are mentally ill do shit like this. People that are not mentally ill, typically they don't want to have anything to do with this. So I wanted to come and let you guys know that. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. If you suspect that you are being gang stalked or if you are going through this, there's actually help for you. Okay. I am a miracle again. I should have been dead or in jail a long time ago. I've been able to overcome, the electronic attacks and the spiritual warfare. and the emotional warfare. You know why? Because I know who the flup I am. And if you're a person that is confused about your identity, especially if you have some kind of gender identity, you're going to be more susceptible to what they're doing. In fact, I've seen a lot of gang stalking victims. They'll take it out on other victims and they're being gang stalked themselves. And then they'll feel like, oh, well, there's no other way through this. So, you guys know the information. I just want to say to my gang stalkers, hello and goodbye to you. Let me explain something to you. Quit projecting, quit reflecting, because all of that energy is being sent back to your ass tenfold. And you're going to find out in the morning. Okay? So y'all have a wonderful evening. To all of you targeted individuals out there, keep your head up. If you need some counseling because of this, I am here because I know exactly what they are up to. I know exactly what they're doing. And a lot of people have been dealing with this. A lot of people. Okay. I believe that a lot of the people that we've seen out in social media are targeted individuals, but they're out of control. They're under mind control. So if you've been used in this gang stalking stuff, you need a cleanse. I know you've done a lot to hurt people, but you can cleanse yourself of all that negative karma. Absolutely. You can hit me up on my website and, we can basically get, because I've talked to targeted individuals, but they don't really take it seriously. They don't really understand that it gets worse. It does. And if you continue to stay around people like that, it will continue to get worse. Okay. So I will talk to you guys later. Have a wonderful evening. I love you guys. Good night.